Welcome to my toxic wasteland. I'm the leader around here, Toxic Kiefer, and welcome to Gravity Falls, a retrospective of Mystery and Brilliance, Part 2. If you haven't seen the last video, I reviewed Gravity Falls Season 1, Episode 1 through 9, and went into a little bit of the characters, and in this video, we go through the rest of Season 1, as well as Disney standards and practices, character analysis, and an overall review of Season 1. There's going to be a lot to get to and a lot to talk about, so let's just do it. Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 10. Fight Fighters. Sue takes the Pines family to his favorite place in Gravity Falls, the arcade. So off rip I get sucked in, I'm a nerd and know some references. Frog Time is a ripoff of Frogger. Ghost Maze is Pac-Man. Old Man McGucket has also been dancing for 7 days straight on a DDR ripoff. Even though Mabel notices that it's unplugged, there's also a clear reference to a certain someone we haven't met yet. Stan finds a game called Insert Token and the whole game is inserting tokens, which it's nice to see Stan getting ripped off for once. Then we see we'll be driving the main story along, a game Wendy and Dipper playing called Fight Fighters. A clear Street Fighter parody, even two characters rumble as being Ryu and Dr. Karate being M. Bison. Dipper beats Wendy in the game, but it's time for round 2, and then we see Robbie in the background putting up flyers for his band, Robbie V and the Tombstones. Robbie would so love the SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 soundtrack. Robbie pushes Dipper out of the way and takes a spot in Fight Fighters. Wendy says it'll only be for 1 round. Robbie just completely ignores what Wendy says about going camping with her dad tomorrow, and then stares daggers at Dipper while Wendy's back is turned. Later at the Mystery Shack, Mabel is kicking everyone's ass at cards when loud music starts blaring. It's Robbie trying to get Wendy's attention, and Dipper goes outside to deal with it. He tells Robbie Wendy isn't here, which Robbie just acts super shocked about, so Dipper calls him out for not listening to her. Robbie accuses Dipper of having a crush on Wendy and calls her to ask if she wants to go on a date with Dipper. Dipper flings Robbie's phone out of his hand, breaking it, so Robbie picks up Dipper by his shirt. He drops Dipper into a pile of trash cans. He challenges Dipper to a fight at the park, 3 o'clock. Grunkle Stan walks out with popcorn, upset that Robbie left because he and the boys were going to place bets. Stan was siding with Robbie in the outcome, so cutting away from the episode real quick. Robbie's like 15, 16-year-old bullying a 12-year-old for having a crush on Wendy. Not only treated him poorly, but he backed him into a corner, poking him in the chest, antagonizing him and scaring him. What a fucking tool. And I mean that in the best way possible. I really dig Robbie's character, a teenage douchebag full of angst and bullies people. It's always cool when a show can write characters and make you feel things that they want you to. And Robbie's character is a key example of that. Back to the show, Dipper is scared because he's never been in a fight before. Mabel says they just hate each other in secret like girls do. And then Sue scares Dipper, senselessly, and teenagers are killing machines. Stan tells Dipper he has only 2 options, fight or hide, so Dipper goes to hide out in the arcade. Mabel and Waddles, you let's go Waddles, are watching Why You Acting So Cray-Cray when Grunkle Stan can't reach something on the top shelf and discovers Stan's secret fear of heights. Back at the arcade, Sue breaks into an arcade cabinet to discover what it's like to be inside a video game, and Dipper wishes he could get one of the characters in the Fight Fighters to just fight for him. He drops a coin, and when he goes to pick it up, he finds a message carved into the side of the machine. There's a cheat code pattern etched in the side of the machine with a message to unleash ultimate power, a reference to the Konami code. Dipper enters the code and an arcade shakes and glows a bright white light and asks Dipper to choose his character. Dipper says Rumble McSkirmish and he leaps out of the video game into real life. They high five, but his pixels are really sharp, and also the animators translated him perfectly into the show. Seuss is like trapped in that machine from earlier, by the way, but Mabel has a plan to help Stan overcome his fear and confronts him. Rumble has to be taken to the Soviet Union to fight, but Dipper tells him Robbie killed his father, so he will scare off Robbie for him, and he agrees. Dipper introduces Rumble to Mabel, but Mabel says it's kind of cheating. She is just not like scared at all, doesn't even care. Like this is a normal occurrence at this point, Dipper doing some weird shit. Dipper and Rumble go to the fight spot where Robbie insults Rumble and pushes Dipper. Rumble picks up Robbie and slams him onto the ground and then throws him to a metal jungle gym. But when Rumble shoots a fireball at it, Robbie dodges, runs away. Dipper yells at Rumble saying stop after the first slam, but Rumble just chases Robbie down. They do an old school Donkey Kong bit that's like obligated to happen once in every video game show. By the way, I'm just gonna mention it now. Throughout the entire episode, there's a lot of fighting references, and I can't mention them all, but they are very much appreciated. Sue escapes the arcade and drives past Dipper, and Dipper explains the lore. They get in and go drive to find Rumble. Robbie climbs the water tower where Stan and Mabel are. Mabel's still trying to get Stan over his fear of heights. Rumble starts to break down the water tower, sending Robbie down flying, and Rumble catches him midair, and as he prepares to fireball him to death, Dipper explains no one killed his father. He had lied to Rumble. When Rumble challenges Dipper to a fight, Dipper fights like a man, owning up to his mistakes, and get his ass kicked by Rumble because he fights like a girl who is also a baby. Rumble wins, but with the fight over, the game ends, putting Rumble back into the game world. Stan overcame his fear of heights, but now Mabel has a fear of heights. Fear of heights is really hard to say fast. Dipper approaches Robbie to get the fight over with. Dipper stands, arm open wide, ready for his beating, but Robbie backs down. Wendy comes over with his family because she heard yelling, sees all the destruction, and the two boys beat up, and asks if they were fighting because she hates when guys fight. Dipper says actually they stopped another fight, and then she walks away. Dipper says they need to learn to hate each other in private like girls do, and they do so, ending the episode. I don't remember liking this episode as much when I was younger. I still thought it was cool, but nah, I really like this episode. The references are nice, the animation involving Rumble and all of his video game stuff, it's clear the team put a lot of hard work and effort into this, and it truly shows. I also want to show some love to Rumble's voice actor, Brian Bloom, who has been in just so much stuff, absolutely nailing it, and his voice is just nailing the over-top fighting game character voice. It's super cool. Up next on the list is Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 11, Little Dipper. We open up with Gideon going over stuff in the journal, trying to find a way to get revenge on the Pines family. He thinks of the perfect idea. We cut to the family watching Duck Detective. Stan sees a man in a suit and thinks the IRS found out about his tax fraud, but it's just a guy from a coupon service. Stan just won a bunch of money. But when Stan signs the paperwork, Gideon bursts through the giant check, saying Stan just signed the deed of the mystery shack over to him. Stan tells him to look at the paperwork, and it tells Gideon to suck a lemon. Stan knew it was a trick, but Gideon says he's gonna get them one day. Later at the shack, Seuss asks Mabel to get him the female jarb of brain, but Dipper says he'll get it. When Seuss points out Mabel is taller, Seuss measures, saying Mabel is indeed a millimeter taller than Dipper. Mabel is evolving to be the alpha twin. Family starts cracking short jokes at Dipper, but Dipper leaves. He can't reach his turtle. He has to knock it over. Dipper flips through, finds something that can help him with his issues, and finds something that can. He ventures through the forest like journal number 3 said, and finds a crystal that changes the sign of anything that passes through its light. Dipper ropes it down to a flashlight and makes himself a millimeter taller. Mabel says it doesn't matter since she grew first, so Dipper makes himself even taller. Mabel suspects tomfoolery, and Dipper tells her about the magic flashlight. In a chase ensues, Mabel and Dipper fight using the tool to grow and shrink each other, but in the chaos it flies into the hands of little Gideon. He shrinks the pine twins down and puts them in his jar. Oh god, Gideon, no! Gideon, no! He takes them to his room and puts Mabel in a bag of gummy koalas because he is still madly in love with her. Gideon questions Dipper about where he found the crystal, but he won't tell. Gideon calls Stan to try and use the twins as ransom, but he doesn't believe little Gideon. Even shrunker Mabel is still taller than Dipper, and Gideon leaves the room to go get ice cream. The twins make it to the floor out of the Gideon's room, and Gideon leaves to go to the shack, and the shrunken down twins make it outside onto a giant inflatable dollar bill. Dipper cuts it free, and they fly to the shack. They use decorations to zipline down, and Mabel throws a gummy bear into Gideon's head. Dipper and Mabel argue about their height again, but in the process, Gideon captures Stan. Gideon also shrinks down Seuss, and when they ask where Stan is, Seuss gives it away by accident. Dipper asks Mabel why he kept picking on them all day. It's because Dipper seems to be better at everything than her. Finally, she felt like she was winning at something. Stan is new mirror maze. Gideon sets out to find him. The three escape Gideon's jar, but Seuss falls into the carpet. The twins crawl to Gideon's armpit to tickle him, and he falls to the ground. Stan kicks him out of the house, and the twins grow themselves back. Dipper even let Mabel keep her extra millimeter. They smash up the crystals, but just then, Seuss walks up to them, and they forgot to grow back Seuss. God damn it. How are you gonna do my boy Seuss like that? And that ends the episode. Poor Seuss. Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 12, Summerween. We kick off the family with Seuss and his family. Now, from this moment on, since these four often get paired together, I'm dubbing them the Quartet. If you don't like it, suck my question mark. So we kick off the episode with the Quartet driving themselves to the Summerween store. This town loves Halloween so much that they celebrate it twice a year, and that day is today. Family are back in the living room. Oh my god, Seuss is in a wrestling costume and he's a luchador. My special interest has been brought up. Let's go! Dipper, Mabel, and luchador Seuss are in the living room working on their Summerween costumes when Seuss mentions the Summerween trickster. It eats kids without any Summerween spirit. When the kids realize all the candy they got is off-brand old people candy, Dipper throws it out of the shack. Something is watching Dipper do this. The shack appears to get his first trick-or-treat of the night, and Dipper opens the door to see Wendy and Robbie. Robbie asks if Dipper is going trick-or-treating because he sees Dipper holding the candy bowl, which, hold on, we're analyzing how fucking dumb this shit is. You ring the doorbell on Summerween night to see someone holding a bowl of candy, and your first thought is, are you going trick-or-treating? He obviously thought you were trick-or-treaters, you dumbass, emo pale, no joy in life, having ass bitch. But anyway, Wendy interrupts saying of course Dipper isn't going trick-or-treating, he's too old for that. Wendy invites Dipper to a party and they drive off with Robbie making a snide remark. The invite says not S+P approved, and oh snap, is this an intermission to discuss a niche joke? Yeah, it is. S&P is standards and practice, so it's Disney standards and practice, which it seems the creator of Gravity Falls, Alex Hirsch, had to deal with in just about every episode of the show multiple times. Alex revealed recently a ton of emails he got from standards and practices on Twitter and his replies to the emails, which is just hilarious. I'm gonna read out some of my favorites. Monday, September 9th, 2011. Please revise poop face as it comes across as a replacement for shit face. Prior use of Mabel saying poop poop and butts in the episode Fight Fighters came across as far more childlike and not as offensive. Alex Hirsch replied, "I've never met a human on Earth at any age who would be offended by a cartoon saying the word poop face." Another email, "It has come to our attention that hoo-ha is slang term for vagina. Please revise." Alex replied, "It is a proper word meaning excitement or hullabaloo, and that is clearly its meaning here. The context is an owl-themed restaurant called Hoo-Ha's Jamboree." Next up is a personal favorite of mine. Disney Standards and Practices said, "Please revise chub pup on t-shirt. Chub has a sexual connotation." Alex replied, "This is silly. It's an image of a fat dog. From the context, there's no reason to think that chub means anything other than that." The last one I'm going to be going over here is when in the show there is an image of Blubs putting his arm around Deputy Durland. Disney didn't like this because they saw it as gay. Alex Hirsch assured that the two are just good buddies. But let me just assure you, for any of the shippers out there or people who like these two as a couple, nah, them two gay boys is kissing. Boy kisser, boy kisser. I love my two little gay sheriffs. Now the email that spun out this whole course here. Please revise the text on Tambry's flyer. Bottles will be spun. This implies that they're playing spin the bottle, which we don't want to send the wrong message to our audience. Hirsch replied, "The message is teenagers like kissing. How on earth is this the wrong message and it's on a flyer? We don't even show it. You gotta be kidding me here." SMP is still uncomfortable with this flyer, giving the impression that it is a makeout party. Hirsch replied, "What's a makeout party and where can I find one? Fine, we'll remove the line. Bottles will be spun. Please replace it with the line, not SMP approved." Standards Practices replied, "Please omit not SMP approved on the party flyer." Alex Hirsch replied, "I don't see what the problem with this is." And the cherry on top, the email he got back, "Not SMP approved, has been approved by SMP." I'm sure there's a lot I can find to go into with Disney Standards and Practices, but I'm just going to focus on the Gravity Falls part here. This is hilarious. Alex Hirsch said he replied thousands of emails like this over the course of the show. The show only has 41 episodes, and to get thousands of emails, that seems like he had to deal with hundreds of emails per episode on this show, which seems like an absolute nightmare. I'm so glad that Alex Hirsch decided to show some of these emails that he got to make us laugh, to show just how ridiculous it was trying to get this phenomenal show made. I'm sorry that he had to deal with it, but man, the replies, how sarcastic he is in them, I love it. Now let's return to your regularly scheduled programming. We left off with Robbie Snyder Mark and Wendy elbows him saying, "Don't forget to show up." Mabel introduces Candy and Greta to Stan, and then we see him, our motherfucking main pig, what else? He's dressed up in a business suit. Candy is dressed as Candy, Greta is a witch, Stan's a vampire, and then we see Mabel as Strawberry Jam. Dipper comes downstairs in no costume saying he's too sick, and then the doorbell rings. Behind it is a giant lanky man with a smiley face mask and wearing a tattered jacket. Dipper says he's too old and closes the door. The man bangs on the door again, and Mabel opens. The trickster reveals himself, unhinging his jaw and eating a child that was behind him. The trickster requires 500 pieces of candy before the last watermelon jack-o'-lantern goes out. Mabel realizes this means Dipper is forced to go trick-or-treating with her, so she doesn't care at all that everyone might die because she gets her way. The trickster climbs up the walls of the shack and over the roof. The kids tell Seuss about their troubles, and Mabel calls a meeting. Gren reveals she pissed herself, which, alright, but Mabel gives a speech. But Dipper tries to get out of it, but gets dragged along anyway. So throughout the episode, Stan feuds with kids trying to prank him and scare him. I'm not really going to mention it, so here you go. It's cool seeing all the townsfolk in costumes, though. I really like these episodes on the show. Dipper, not being in costume, is messy with the group's candy gathering ways, though, so he does need to go put his costume on. Dipper is dressed as peanut butter, so yeah, Mabel, Dipper, peanut butter, jelly. Yeah. The group, now all in costume, are helping gather blasts of candy, but more and more lanterns are getting blown out, but the group only needs one more piece of candy. But then Robbie and Wendy drive by, so Dipper ditches his costume, puts it in the wheelbarrow with the rest of his candy, and pushes it into a bush so no one sees it. When they drive away, Mabel overhears that Dipper's planning to go to a party and absolutely blows up at Dipper, because how dare Dipper do something other than hang out with her on Summerween, their favorite holiday? Mabel really said their favorite holiday. This is the first one they're ever celebrating. What are you talking about, Mabel? But when Dipper pushed the candy into the bush, it turns out there's a lake right behind it, and all of the candy's gone. Right before the last lantern be blown out by Old Man McGucket, the group knock him away from it, but as they all sigh a sigh of relief, they blow out the candle. The Summerween trickster appears asking for his candy, and he grows even scarier, more beastish than before, growing 2 more large arms. Seuss all of a sudden drives through the monster, exploding it. And on the car ride back home, Mabel is giving the quiet treatment before she sees the beast reform and jump onto Seuss's truck. He drives through the submarine store, and as they try and hide from the beast, Dipper and Mabel talk. Mabel says they need to go trick-or-treating because they're getting older. Seuss gives them the idea to dress up in costumes to raise decorations, and they nearly make it out of the store, but Seuss couldn't stop himself and activates a prop. So the trickster eats him. The kids attack and realize he's made out of candy, those dislike loser candies, salt for taffy, black licorice, old chocolate with that white powder on it that no one likes. Then all of a sudden Seuss eats his way through the Summerween trickster, giving the trickster purpose as food. He cries tears of candy corn joy, and he dies. They spend the rest of the night together, eating candy, watching movies, and Seuss sits through the realization he ate a man alive today. So I have to admit, going into this episode, I wasn't too excited. I don't remember being a big fan of this episode, mainly because of Mabel, which is awful to watch. And upon rewatch, yeah, Mabel is awful in this episode. But the rest was pretty damn cool. The Summerween Trickster is fucking awesome, and I dig seeing people in costumes. Still, the trick-or-treater stuff is fine, but overall, what I remember is just Mabel just being Mabel. So that does personally bring this episode down a lot for me. But we're not done with Mabel yet, because next up on the list, Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 13, Boss Mabel. I can't hear that title anymore without thinking of Boss Baby, so already I'm not very excited. We kick off with the family watching Cash Wheel. It's a game show. Seuss walks in to inform Stan of the whole bus of tourists coming onto the shack. Wendy starts upping the prices as Seuss goes a fox head to a duck. Alright then. Stan gives the group a tour where they see a picture of a horse riding another horse, Dipper dressed up in a wolf costume, and Mabel is seen giving a bumper sticker away for free. Stan tells her to shut her yap and go away. And it turns out thinking the words please and thank you make Stan sick. Dipper tells Stan that his shop is full of fake attraction when he has seen real monster. He tells Stan that he should go hunt down real monsters to use. Mabel says that Stan should be nicer to them too. Later, the workers and twins are painting up the sign, a giant pink glitter, and they talk about working under Stan. As Seuss says he had an idea to dress up as a costume. He wanted to be the Mystery Shack's mascot, and that was the final straw. Mabel confronts Stan, saying Mabel can earn more money being nice than Stan being mean. Stan says he can earn more money on vacation, and they make a deal. Mabel runs the shack for 3 days, and whoever makes more money wins. Which, this is such a shitty idea. Stan, why would you even take this bet? Mabel starts off for 3 days by breaking a giant glass jar. Way to go, Mabel. And Stan's gonna go on Cash Wheel. Mabel calls a meeting to inform Dipper, Seuss, and Wendy of what's going on. Mabel is dressed up like a business person, and the three are in high hopes. She's determined to make this a good experience and gives everyone stickers. She asks what they can do to make their jobs better. She lets Wendy hang out with her friends at work, gives Seuss the question mark costume, and tells Dipper to go catch a real monster. And then the Waddles is also here. Woo! Staber intends to have a heart attack in the line of Cash Wheel to get ahead, and he gets on the show. We also get a montage of Mabel trying to be a good boss, but it's not really working out. Then Dipper rolls up to the shack with a giant beast in a bag, and Seuss shows up. Seuss is really uncomfy in the costume and it's way too revealing, which, dude, just put some clothes on. What the hell are you doing? Wendy and her friends accidentally injure a kid on the job. When Mabel tries to get her to clean it up, she guilt trips Mabel into giving her the day off with full pay. But it's time for Cash Wheel, baby. Stan skips his turn and solves the puzzle, earning up a quick $1,000 in cash. And then he gets a cash shower and Stan starts stripping naked. Well, it is a shower after all. Back at the shop, Dipper shows off his new catch, the Grim Loblin. People will say it's fake, but like, hold on, we need to just analyze. How the hell did Dipper catch this damn thing? Both of the tourists end up hospitalized because they looked into his eyes, and Mabel is just having an awful time running the shack. When Dipper tells her she has to be a harder boss, the monster escapes the cage because Mabel gave it a key to take a lunch break. Mabel gave the giant monster a key. This episode is awful. Seuss is in the woods under Mabel's orders to try and calm down, and the beast is just destroying the shack. The twins hide, and Mabel's more upset about the stickers getting destroyed than anything else. What the hell is wrong with you, Mabel? Mabel accidentally makes the beast even scarier than the monster starts eating the money. Mabel looks directly into his eyes, but Dipper shows it a mirror, making it see its worst nightmare, becoming just like its father. But then even more damage ends up happening. There are only 7 hours left in the competition. Mabel snaps and yells at everyone. Mabel realizes the only way to get it done is to act like Stan, and then we see Stan on the show has won $300,000, and he bets it all on the bonus word. And at the end of the day, after paying for all the damages, Mabel has only earned $1. Stan comes home unveiling that he did not get the bonus word. The bonus word was please. He lost all of his money, so Mabel technically won the competition. So now Stan has to fulfill his end of the bet. He sings the Stan Wrong song, which totally should have won a Grammy. This is the second episode in a row I really wasn't excited to watch, and unlike the last episode, it was justified. It was just as bad as I remember it being. The only highlight being Grogu on Cash Wheel, which is pretty hilarious, and the logic of Dipper managing to catch a beast and dragging it all the way to the Mystery Shack, that makes zero sense. That thing is way outclassing Dipper. Wendy also being so manipulative of Mabel also really doesn't seem right. The monster was pretty cool though, but that was really the only highlight. 2 episodes in a row I really wasn't excited for, And that streak is gonna continue with Gravity Falls Season 1 Episode 14, Bottomless Pit. The quartet drive out to the bottomless pit to get rid of stuff they don't want anymore. Stan dumps out some suggestion cards, Mabel throws out creepy love letters from little Gideon, and Sue starts throwing out just random stuff like his shoes. Most importantly here, Mabel throws out a mysterious box of secrets, and Dipper says the bottomless pit is impossible. A storm starts to come, but before they can go back to the shack, Stan falls into the pit, dragging everyone else into it with him. They're all flying down the pit, floating into an eternal darkness, and Stan tries to do card tricks, which obviously doesn't do very well. Sue suggests they tell stories, and Dipper starts with his voiceover story. Oh my god, Waddles, my beloved. Hey, Sade. I love you, Waddles. Mabel sees Wendy are spinning around Waddles in a game of Kiss the Pig, and then Stan refuses to answer if you've ever kissed a pig before, which, like, I totally agree. Like, I would never do that. Waddles, please give me a chance. Dipper runs over with a snake bite and has to be taken to the hospital. His voice cracks, and everyone starts making fun of him. Sue's even made a techno remix out of it, but Dipper steals the tape and runs off. While he's walking around town, McGucket pops out and brings Dipper to his home, the junkyard. He made a drink that changes people's voices, and since his voice is so horrid, Dipper drinks it up, and when he wakes up, he has a brand new voice. A suave voice, very smooth and not too deep. The voice is done by A. Smith Harrison. He has done a lot of voiceover work over the years, including stuff for Stranger Things and Doom Patrol. He has an upcoming project called The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg, which, I thought, another kid's tale, okay, but this is quite the adaptation. Allow me to read the description on IMDb. When a psychiatrist discovers that a medication for a treatment of acne is causing teenagers to kill themselves, the pharmaceutical company sets out on a campaign to destroy the source of the threat to their billion-dollar-a-year drug. And now I really want to see this movie. Okay, but anyway, back to Gravity Falls. Dipper wakes up Mabel with his new voice, and then she tries to beat him to death with a golf club. But Dipper calms her down. Mabel says his new voice is bad, but Dipper says it's the best thing that ever happened to him. Dipper goes to talk to Seuss, but Seuss starts beating Dipper with a broomstick. Why is everyone trying to assault Dipper? Seuss says it sounds like some commercial dude, nice reference, but it turns out Dipper did a lot of prank calls earlier with his voice, so now the town is just chasing around him because they don't believe he's a 12-year-old boy. Dipper runs to the dump to get a new voice, but McGucket says he's just in time because by sundown, the voice would have reverted. Dipper listens to the remix one last time, and they hear at the end the remix was dedicated to his one-of-a-kind voice. He decides not to change it. Which is, what? They're still bullying him for his voice. He ends up dumping the new voice drink into Stan's coffee, giving him a girly voice. And it gave us a quote that I still quote to this day. Where my girdle at? I'm gonna gloss over the rest of these stories because there's really nothing special. There's one about where Seuss, Dipper, and Mabel got sucked into a pinball machine. Seuss having to sacrifice his high score to save Dipper and Mabel's life. There's another one called Truth Teeth. It's where Mabel forces Truth Teeth into Stan. They're exactly what they sound like. They make the word always tell the truth, which is bad. Stan confesses to way too many crimes to the police, which Mabel has to lie to get him out of it. This is another episode that I really don't like. We are on an awful trail here. However, up next, Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 15, The Deep End. It is 110 degrees in Gravity Falls, the hottest day of the summer. Squirrels explode, wax melts, posters and wallpapers peel off the walls, even water boils. The quartet lay in their underwear on the ground when, oh my god, Waddles, hey shoddy. They make their way to the pool and Mabel sees what Seuss describes as a mysterious stranger. Mabel was clearly enamored and knocks over a bunch of stuff on her way to go see him. Wendy throws a water balloon at Stan because she got a sidekick as a lifeguard to her the free snacks. She's doing tryouts for her assistant lifeguard and Dipper offers up. Wendy hires him on the spot. All he has to do is go check in with her boss, Mr. Poolcheck, who is insanely terrifying. We got to Mabel introducing herself to the boy from earlier and they just hit it off. Mabel asks if he wants to go hit the snack bar, but he can't. He has a terrible secret, so he swims to the other side of the pool. We cut back to Dipper and Mr. Poolcheck smelling him for his sunscreen. He likes it's FPS 100, but he says it's anarchy out there. Mr. Poolcheck then rips off his hand. It's a prosthetic. He locks it to a pool filter, but still, what the fuck? He gives Dipper a whistle and hugs him to welcome him aboard the team. We see Stan find the perfect chair he was telling Seuss about in the car earlier. Perfect shade, equal length away from the snack bar in the bathroom, and far enough from Mr. McGucket while he's putting on his sunscreen. But before he can lay down, Gideon takes it. Stan gets thrown in pool jail for picking up Gideon. Was he about to assault the kid? He's in for 2 hours, but at least it isn't that solitary confinement. Dipper's hanging out with Wendy, trying to evade the eyes of the horrified Mr. Poolcheck, and Mabel is still trying to learn the dude's secret. Turns out he's a merman. What? Gravity Falls just has a merman chilling in their pool, and Mabel is not deterred. His name is Mermando. Mabel questions why he's in a pool. It's because he got caught by a net when he tried to escape from home and ended up almost in a forest dying until he fell into the pool. Stan plots his revenge against little Gideon and tries to burn him with his watch reflection, but falls into a pool. The pool closes when Dipper and Wendy are messing around with Seuss, and Mabel says she return at night, which she does, breaking a net while she enters. Mabel tries to kiss Mermando, but backs out. She also shows Mermando a bunch of photos of her using her feet and legs, which makes Mermando uncomfortable and he gets upset. The fuck, Mabel, again? What is wrong with you? The next day at the pool, Wendy and Dipper are hanging out while working, but Mr. Poolcheck catches them goofing off and tells Dipper to catch whoever broke in last night or he's fired. Mermando is very upset and misses his family, but Mabel vows to break him out tonight. Dipper's on night watch and catches Stan breaking in. He accuses Stan of breaking the supplies, but he's just there to get the spot before Gideon gets it. Mabel also gets in, filling a cooler with water, but hides as Dipper shows up. Seuss also tries to hop the fence, but Dipper just tells him to go home, and then Dipper demands the cooler back, but Mabel tricks him, saying Wendy's in a bikini, so he gets distracted. She gets Ramondo in the cooler, and Dipper chases them down the street of Gravity Falls. She's driving the car to a lake, and Dipper manages to drain the water out of the cooler, but they both crash. They're at the edge of the lake, and Mabel spills the merman beans. Ramondo needs water, he's dying, so Dipper gives him reverse CPR, which why didn't you just roll him into the lake? Ramondo then also points it out, but not before Mabel gets a blackmail photo. Dipper can't even save a man's life without Mabel trying to blackmail him. Ramondo needs the megaphone so his family can hear him, so Mabel pulls at Dipper's heartstrings and he hands it over. Mabel gets her first kiss, and Ramondo goes to find his family. Dipper loses his job with Mr. Poolcheck. Just straight up, Mr. Poolcheck eats the whistle that he gave Dipper. This man is insane. We need to get him an Arkham Asylum ASAP. Turns out Wendy also got fired for stealing too many snacks, so her and Dipper go leave to go hang out. Ramondo sends Mabel a letter, revealing he has 70 hearts, which, the fuck? And Gideon predicted Stan's plan and glued him to the chair as the episode ends. I was so glad to have a good episode, and the streak continues. Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 16. Carpe Diem. The Mystery Twins are playing a game of mini golf in their attic, and oh my god, Waddles is keeping score! Mabel, Candy, and Grin are having a sleepover in the Mystery Shack. It's a stereotypical girly sleepover, makeup, screaming, boy talk. They kidnap Dipper and give him a makeup, so he sleeps under the stars. Unfortunately, he has to deal with a wolf chewing on his leg. The next day, the girls wake up and it's like a hangover movie. Dipper's upset because everything in the room is broken. Mabel complains that he keeps reading loudly, so they go to Grunkle Stan and discuss getting separate rooms. Stan just laughs at them when Seuss finds a hidden room in the Mystery Shack. There's a calendar from 1982 and a pair of glasses on the desk, which Stan takes. Most important to the episode, a giant shaggy carpet marked Experiment 78. Stan holds a competition where the kids fight for his love. Mabel is winning the competition, and Dipper takes a break in the new room. Dipper takes off his shoes to enjoy the carpet, but when he collides with Mabel, they swap bodies from a static shock. The two freak out majorly, and Dipper finds out the carpet swaps minds, but Dipper plans to sabotage Mabel by acting evil while in her body. So Mabel falls asleep when my main fucking pig Waddles is chilling on the carpet, and Seuss goes to pet him, swapping their minds. When he walks in to see Seuss eating a shirt and just walks away. When Candy and Grin come over for a sleepover, Dipper and Mabel's body gets dragged into it. Mabel, stuck in Dipper's body, is watching the sleepover through the keyhole, and Stan thinks he's creeping on the girls, so he gives him the birds and the bees talk. Seuss and Waddles' bodies go for a stroll in town when McGuckus sees the pig and starts chasing him down to eat him, but when Seuss speaks through the pig's body, saying he's a man trapped, McGuckus says that's what they all say. What does that mean? Like, what? I think he's actually a cannibal. Stan decides to give Dipper the room after Mabel tries to beat him up because Stan likes that he stood up to him for once. Mabel locks herself in the room, but Dipper has a plan. A makeover. Dipper swaps bodies, but when Candy and Greta find out it's a swapping nightmare, it goes on for too long, gets a little tiring, but eventually they both say they don't want to move out, and they talk about how Dipper feels left out because she hangs with her friends too much. And then McGucket tries to eat human Seuss. So yeah, McGucket's a cannibal confirmed. The twins decide to room together again, and they give the new room to Seuss. So yeah, that episode was not as good as I remember. It was huge for the theories back in the day, but man, I can't over the people not recognizing the different voices coming out of people. Like, that makes no sense. Also, I didn't mention it, but Waddles in Seuss's body gets a girl, which is funny, but real weird that the girl wants to fuck a pig. But we got people fucking birds in the show, so it tracks. Not a bad episode, I just have my problems with it. We're back on the bad episode train with Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 17, Boys Crazy. Maybe the show is not as good as I remember it being. Wendy and Dipper are goofing off at work when Mabel interrupts dancing. Her favorite band several times is going to be performing in Gravity Falls. Dipper and Wendy joke that the members are hatched from eggs, grown in tubes, foreshadowing bitch. Candy and Grin run in and run away with Mabel. The girls are insanely obsessed with this group. Robbie walks in, and him and Wendy start arguing because Robbie stood her up last night. Oh my god, whoa! He plays a song he made for her. Wendy automatically gives him a second chance, and Dipper suspects the CD is messed up and brainwashed Wendy. By the way, the band members are Greggy C, Craigie G, Leggy P, Chubby Z, and Deep Chris. Stellar names, I know. At the venue, you can see Pacific in the background. Nice. Buying tickets, but everything's now sold out. Mabel still plans to break in, though. Okay. Back at home, Dipper tells Stan about the brainwash music, and he believes him because he saw it firsthand. Now, like 15 seconds have passed, but now somehow the show is already over. It ended. Was the show like 15 seconds? From the time Mabel walked from the parking lot to the damn backstage area, the show was over. When they get into the backstage, they see clones of the boys and the 5 band members and the giant hamster kegs. The boys are genetically manufactured to be the perfect boy band. The number one goal is to escape and kiss a tree. Foreshadowing, bitch. Mabel breaks them in a cage, and back at the shack, Mabel kidnapped the boys from the band. Hi, Waddles. The boys' producer shows up at the shack because they left a trail of frosted tips. He leaves after Seuss tells him off, though. Stan and Dipper find the hidden message in Robbie's song when it plays in reverse. The song is Mind Control. And Stan's excited because he thinks he's gonna get to punch a teenager in the face. When the band manager gets arrested, Mabel refuses to set the boys free so she can have them forever. Katie and Greta need to break past Mabel and free the boys. But Mabel sticks the boy band on them, can't get them out. Somehow Stan is magically in the suit when he wasn't previously. Alright then. The band guilt trips Mabel into freeing them, and Dipper shows Wendy that the Robbie brainwashed her with music, but she doesn't even care because she cares that Robbie stole the song, not that it's a brainwash. What the fuck is going on with this episode? This shit sucks. When Dipper tries to go hang out with Wendy, she tells him off because she's too upset right now, which is very understandable. Mabel's friends forgive her just right away, which is really odd. With the boy band free and gone into nature, Stan and Dipper are drinking pit colas to end the episode. This episode sucks. Mabel was awful in this episode, like horrifically bad. This is her worst one yet. She kidnapped a band to make them her boy band slaves. But Wendy and Robbie broke up, so that forced the whole Dipper thing, which yeah, B-plot was far better than the A. Worst episode of the show yet. Thankfully, next up is a far better episode. Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 18, Land Before Swine. The sheriff's radar clocks something fly by at 99 miles an hour when all of a sudden their car roof gets ripped off by a pterodactyl and it flies by the moon. What a way to open. We get a daytime sanguine into our Waddles and Mabel are having a dance party because they are home alone. Hell's yes, a super serial awesome montage of epic proportions. I love you, Waddles, love you so much. Stan trips over Mabel and Waddles, but Waddles shoots a hole through Stan's pants. Stan tries to kick him out, but the pig and Mabel freaks out. Me too, Stan. Fuck off, Stan. Dipper and Seuss are investigating the big creature that's been terrorizing the town, and Seuss gets stuck to a sap. Foreshadowing, bitch. We get to Mabel knitting a sweater for Waddles when she sees a baby carrier that fits a pig. Mabel asks Stan to watch Waddles while she's gone to buy one, and he promises not to let Waddles outside. Dipper goes to develop the photos that they caught. Waddles ended up eating Stan's latest attraction, a unicorn made of corn. Seuss also ends up accidentally lighting up the dark room where the photos were being developed, ruining them. When Stan takes Waddles outside, the dinosaur ends up pignapping Waddles. What the fuck is Stan? Fuck you! When Mabel pulls up, Seuss spills the beans, and Mabel freaks. Stan does a tall tale talking about how the dinosaur broke into the mystery shack, and when he tried to fight him, stabbing him in the eye, Mabel somehow believes him, and then Mabel cries, forgiving Stan because he tried to save him. No, he didn't, Mabel. Then Mabel finds a trail from the sweater that she knit for Waddles, leading to the woods, so everyone prepares. Dipper gets upset because Seuss messes around with a pterodactyl. Dipper and Mabel agree this mission is way too important for Seuss to end up messing up. Seuss ended up making Dipper and himself matching t-shirts about being pterodactyl bros, so Dipper feels bad and lets him stay. Old Man McGucka is also at the church where the trail leads. It leads to a giant mine shaft in the ground. The mine is filled with prehistoric flowers and dinosaurs trapped in tree sap. The summer heat has been melting the sap, allowing the dinosaurs to get free. Stan wants to create a theme park down here, and he lets it slip that he let Waddles outside. Mabel vows to never speak to Stan again, and Seuss ends up messing up the trail by re-rolling the yarn back up. He then also breaks the lantern that they were using, and then Dipper unloads on Seuss. They all have a fight. McGucka ends up fixing the lantern once again, showing his genius. And then the dinosaur appears, chasing the group into its nest. Stan says that they should use Seuss as a human sacrifice. What the fuck? Waddles oink, and they all reunited. The nest is filled with the remains of dead people. Holy shit. And then Mabel straps up Waddles in the satchel, and then Stan and Waddles get separated from the rest of the group. The dinosaur eggs hatch, and they eat Old Man McGucket. A baby dinosaur just ate Old Man McGucket. Bro, rip the cannibal. Stan uses Waddles to try and save himself, then Waddles giving him the big lies, and Stan cannot resist. He realizes he cannot live without Mabel in his life. He straps up Waddles, and then straight up starts fighting the pterodactyl, punching it in the face. Seuss comes up with a plan to escape, and Dipper has to trust him. His plan seems silly, but it works. All of a sudden, Stan is seen riding the dinosaur, punching it in the mouth and knocking it down, knocking it out, saving himself and Waddles, reuniting them with the group. The dinosaur is back, chasing them out of the mines. They jump into a geyser, which Seuss sets off, saving them. Dipper and Seuss make it up, but Old Man McGucket ate his way through the baby dinosaur. Not ending the episode. This episode is wild. All of my Waddles jokes aside, this episode was really, really great. Old Man McGucket is insane. Stan finally came around to Waddles after doing something honestly really horrible. But Stan isn't exactly the best guy, so it kind of tracked with this character. Next up is one of my favorite episodes of the whole show, and a fan favorite that introduces one of us to one of the most iconic characters in all of media. Gravity Falls, Season 1, Episode 19, Dreamscapers. We open up with the twins playing Battleship. Stan calls them down to see a commercial. Little Gideon is tended telepathy where Gideon breaks into Stan's office trying to steal the mystery shack. Stan chases him off, and Gideon swears he will steal the deed one day. The cover of the safe is in Stan's brain where no one can find it, but Gideon's last straw has been drawn. He opens up journal number 2 to reveal a page with a drawing of the one and only Bill Cipher. Later, there's a bat in the kitchen. Stan makes Dipper go do it, but Dipper stands up for himself. But Stan intimidates him into doing it, and the bat kicked his ass. Dipper complains to Seuss and Mabel that he's tired of Stan making him do all the chores in the house when Stan calls him to clean the sink. Outside, Gideon is summoning Bill Cipher, chanting an evil message when a triangle rips open in the air, and out comes Bill Cipher. He knows many things, and he magically rips out all of the teeth in a deer's skull and gifts it to little Gideon. Gideon tells him he has to break into Stan Pine's mind. Bill has to think about it. We see his thinking in the form of images flashing on his body, and Bill says Gideon will owe him, and Bill's hand lights on fire, and he shakes Gideon's hand. Seuss and Mabel saw this go down, and Bill disappears. Mabel and Seuss rush in and try to explain what happened to Dipper about the triangle guy, but Dipper remembers reading about this in journal number 3. But it's far too late. Stan's mind is now infested with Bill. The three will now venture into the most dangerous place they'll ever go, Grungle Stan's mind. The three enter Stan's mind to arrive to see a black and white mystery shack, a broken down playground, and Bill. Mabel rushes him, but Bill absorbs her into his body and shoots her back out. Bill calls Dipper the pine tree, Mabel the shooting star, and Seuss the question mark. This will be very important later. Bill shoots a laser through Dipper's body, leaving a giant hole in his chest, and inside the shack is 1,000 memories, and Bill is after the code. Bill summons what Mabel is thinking of just to prove how powerful he is, and he enters the shack. The trio follows suit and see just how weird this will be. Dipper's still very upset with Stan and is very passive aggressive. We see memories of Stan in his past, his time in prison, a date with Lazy Susan, and him being a door-to-door salesman. They find a door with Dipper memories, and Seuss says it's a bad idea, but Dipper still walks inside. He watches a memory of Stan talking to Seuss and hears Stan say how much of a loser and wimp he is, and that he wants to get rid of Dipper, and then Dipper closes the door. We got to Mabel and Seuss and our two pals Zyler and Kraz that were Bill summoned earlier. They're from the movie Boy High that Mabel loves. The four open a trap door labeled Top Secret and see Stan feeding his stomach a cracker. I do this all the time. It's awesome. Mabel says to find the memory, they need to think like Stan, and they find the memory where he enters the code, and they think, alright, time to destroy the door, but it turns out Seuss was Bill Cipher in disguise. He gets the trap door and make fun of the four for being so dumb. Bill zooms away when Dipper strolls up saying, why should they help Stan? He thinks Stan hates him, and Dipper refuses to fix the problem. Bill's bow tie rings, and it's Gideon asking him how the mission is going. When Bill goes to tell Gideon the code, Mabel shoots it out of his hand into a memory of the bottomless pit. Gideon calls out the deal, and Bill glows red and produces fire from his fans, and it surrounds all of them. They're all in a flame border, growing huge, and he shoots electricity out of his body. Dipper finds the door of the memory from before, but this time he listens to it all the way through. Everything Stan said is what people said about him as a kid, and he tells Seuss about how he used to be the biggest wimp of the playground, getting beat up every day, until his dad signed up for boxing classes. Stan later used these skills to stop a mugger, realizing the classes came to use. Stan is proud of Dipper. And memory Stan fixes Dipper's hole, showing he can do whatever he wants in here. Dipper realizes he needs to stop Bill, and Bill is bringing everyone's nightmare to a reality. He kills Zyler and Kraz, and Dipper uses the ability he learned from earlier to fight back against Bill. The trio fight back against Bill using the abilities they conjure, and uses Bill's lasers against him. Dipper and Seuss Mabel work together to eject Bill from Stan's mind. Once Bill leaves, everyone is okay, but then Gideon blows a hole into the shack and blows up the safe. He has the deed to the mystery shack in his hands and calls in the construction crew, and they start to tear down the mystery shack. To be continued. Right now. Gravity Falls, Season 1 finale. Gideon rises. The Pines land to move with Seuss and Abuelita. Gideon makes an announcement on the news for everyone in Gravity Falls, and Mabel vows to be the hero of the family with her grappling hook, but Dipper says it's never helped them once. The quartet sneak into the announcements, which is Gideon Land. Gideon plans to open an amusement park with his new mascot Waddles dressed as Gideon, and what the Stan says he stole the shack, but he has the whole town on his side. With the shack closing down, when he's gonna need to move upstate, and Stan is feeling bad because he can't afford to keep feeding the kids. Gideon is mistreating Waddles, so I do need to Gideon is mistreating Waddles, and Gideon plans to hunt for the other journals, which is why he wanted the shack in the first place. Later, Stan tells the kids they're going home, and he bought them bus tickets, says Gideon won. Mabel accidentally hits Dipper with a grappling hook when they're staking out the shack, and Dipper plans to use the gnomes to help get the shack back. They're walking on the leader gnome, taking a bath in a bathtub full of squirrels. Alright, I do the same thing. It's cool. They plan on giving the gnomes a new queen named Gideon. Dipper, Mabel, and the gnomes attack Gideon at the shack and surround him with gnomes, but Gideon uses a dog whistle to control the gnomes. But the Pines twins' plan fail, and journal number 3 falls out of Dipper's vest. The two leave defeated, and Dipper gives up because he thinks without his journal, he can't help anyone. They plan to go on the bus, leaving behind Wendy, Granda, Candy, Seuss, Stan, and everything they love in town. Gideon realizes the journal was number 3 and not 1. He didn't even know there was a third. So, with the giant Gideon statue that's really a robot, McGucket made it, gets inside and he thinks Dipper has journal number 1. Stan finds out how Gideon is psychic. I didn't mention it earlier, but Gideon handed out pins to the townfolk, and Stan has a hearing aid and keeps blaring loudly whenever there's pins around. The bus's driver is Seuss, and on the bus, they see the giant Gideon chasing after them. The bus is hanging off a cliff when Gideon rips the roof off. Dipper and Mabel run to the abandoned train tracks, but Gideon grabs them, and Dipper says he doesn't know about journal number 1, and he throws Dipper onto a cliff. With Mabel in danger, a bloody nose, and thoughts of self-doubt, Dipper dives off the cliff through the robot's eye and onto Gideon. The two get into a fierce back and forth. The robot falls off the tracks hundreds of miles down the ground, but Mabel saved herself and Dipper with the grappling hook. Sheriffs and townsfolk rush to the crash site and go to arrest Dipper and Mabel under the word of Gideon, but Stan shows up and reveals the pins are hidden cameras, and he's shown them spying on the town. Gideon gets arrested as Stan gets his deed back. Stan is called a town hero. Waddles is saved, and the mystery shack is reopened. Later, Dipper and Mabel talk to Stan about the journals. Stan laughs in their face and says it's all crazy conspiracies. Stan takes the journal, but Mabel says he doesn't need the book. He defeated a giant robot on his own, and what would the old man need a book for? We finally see what Stan is hiding behind the vending machine. He walks downstairs into a giant lair, revealing he has journal number 1, and he activates the giant portal, ending season 1 of Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls season 1 finale was insane. So was the episode before. What an awesome final 2 episodes. We got to see Gideon at his peak, the introduction of Bill's cipher, the secret voice behind the vending machine, Seuss Lord, Dipper overcoming self-doubt and kicking ass without the journal, Mabel's grappling hook coming in handy, everything coming together to make a complete and well-told story. I love every bit of this finale, except Stan kissing Abuelita. Why did he do that? But I'd like to focus on Stan lore here. We got to see foreshadowing the future and most importantly, his past. We got to see bits of his childhood where we saw where he was a massive nerd who got bullied and looked even more nerdy than Dipper. His father got him boxing classes, which later came in handy. Getting to also see what his father looks like, we get to see a better scope of the Pines family, which we'll see far more of in season 2. But, as we did in the first episode, it's time for character analysis. Last time, we looked at Mabel. This time, we're looking at Dipper. Also, like last time, this is always where we hear the words of my friends. Links to their accounts in the description. Now then, let's get on with the character analysis of Dipper. He's a conspiracy theorist and obviously obsessed in some regards, but he also reaches this stagnant point where it's just the same thing over and over again. He doesn't get much character development, but it's not really expected from him as the main character of a children's cartoon. Like I said with Mabel, character design is really important for shows like this because it sets the character's tone and background from the get-go without much talking. Dipper gets very few costume changes, and almost exclusively for episodes that go beyond their usual settings. Dipper doesn't have much about him that screams out special, which is even pointed out and joked about, so I guess he just always feels the need to prove he's right to feel it. Dipper in season 1 is very interesting to me. I think it sets him as an interesting character in terms of knowledge and characteristics. His curiosity is always great because it leads to great episodes. I think he does a good job of being protective over Mabel, given the situations that goes down in the town. The only issue I had with Dipper was his crush on Wendy was a little weird, and although honestly I never really liked it. That's the flaws I had. I think sometimes he isn't the best when it comes to anything that involves talking to people. Like, he can't really be confident and sound great, but sometimes these mistakes lead to fun scenes. Overall, Dipper was good, way more enjoyable than Mabel, but not as good as Stan or Seuss in my opinion, but still pretty good. Dipper in season 1 is the best character when it comes to certain topics like intelligence and curiosity, and that is something that I always loved about him. In certain episodes, when it comes to his intelligence and curiosity, it makes the show interesting to watch. I also do love how protective he is for his family. We don't see many characters on TV do that anymore. Now, when it comes to the issue with him, there's actually a few, like how in a couple episodes he can be a jerk and also a creep towards Wendy. The big flaw to me is how awkward he is towards people, and it gets annoying, but it sometimes can be funny. Overall, I like Dipper. He is probably my favorite character out of the show. He is, in my opinion, the best in this season. He may have a couple of flaws, but it's still a great character. Now it comes to how I feel about Dipper, and yeah, I agree with a lot of what my friends said, but I do disagree on some things. Dipper is a really good character in the show. His curiosity, his intelligence, his love for the conspiracies of the unknown is amazing to watch. I also love how defensive he is of his family, and it's really nice to see a character do that in a show, especially on the younger side. However, his social awkwardness is also a key part of his character, and I love that about him. And yeah, he can be creepy towards Wendy sometimes, but I really don't think they really overdo it in the show. I understand why that dynamic was put into the show, and I think it's important to show his character growth over time. I absolutely love Dipper Pines as a character, 10 times the character that Mabel Pines is. There's a reason the first piece of Gravity Falls merch I bought was Dipper's hat. He is integral to the show, its popularity, and why it is so beloved. The way he dresses, the way he talks, everything about him comes together to create this social awkwardness ball that loves to explore and wants to break out of that shell and become something more than he already is. And well, folks, there you have it. Gravity Falls, a retrospective Mystery and Brilliance, Part 2. Happy New Year, I think. This is the first video on the channel of 2024, and I know it's currently the 23rd when I'm recording these any bit, and this video has been delayed, I think, twice now, but I'm happy you guys get to see it on the 24th. I promise you will not have to wait another month for an upload. You will get an upload in a few days after this, I think. don't hold me to it. Part 3 of the retrospective should be out in about a month's time, so I will see you with more Gravity Falls content in February, where we get to tackle Gravity Falls Season 2. I cannot wait. It's my favorite season of the show. It is brilliant, it is awesome, and I cannot wait for you guys to see what I think about it and what my friends think about it. Also, I have some things to plug real quick. You can buy your Toxic Kiefer merchandise at the Bonfire Shop, link in the description. Follow me on the other two channels, Toxic Kiefer Wrestling and Toxic Kiefer Gaming, as well as a brand new group channel that's going to be debuting soon. It's called Slices of Cheese. It is me, TheZenOne, ThatRandomReviewer, and EliteRiley. We are cooking the fuck up behind the scenes here at Toxic Kiefer, and I cannot wait for you guys to see what I do next. With everything said and done, stay toxic and stay hydrated.